at the time. Okay. So whatever happened for today, kindly excuse us. Okay. There was a little bit of confusion that happened over the time, and because of which there was a delay in me joining the session, and as we are opening the or starting the session. Okay, it's only for today. So having said that, okay, without wasting a minute, let me quickly jump into the session. I'm sure you all people have come for my demo. Okay, so as we discussed in our demo, we start our training with the introduction to the term application server. You want to understand what is meant by JBoss Application Server. If you want to understand, if you want to know what is meant by JBoss Application Server, it's mandatory that you know what is meant by the term application server. If you know what is meant by application server, you can understand what exactly is meant by JBoss Application Server. So if you want to know what is meant by application server, if you go back to the history of application server came into the market because of the disadvantages or the problems that are seen in a web server with a servlet container. Sure, what is this web server? Okay, and why web server came into the market? The reason for the evolution of the for the introduction of the web server was the Java J2EE programming language. Since we had a programming language by name Java J2EE, that's the reason we have something called as an web server with a servlet container. Then because of the disadvantages seen in this web server, application server came into the market. So Shiva, what was the trend before the Java was being there or ruling the market, ruling the programming market? Before the Java was present as a programming language, most of the developers, most of the programmers used to use a programming language called as scripting programming language. Clear? Most of the developers, most of the programmers, before the Java was being introduced, okay, since there was a programming language by name Java, that's the reason we have something called as a web server or application server. But if you go back to the history, before the Java was present as a programming language, one of the programming language that was heavily ruling the IT market, or one of the programming language that is heavily used by the developers, was the scripting programming language. What is the scripting programming language, Shiva? The scripting programming languages, the best example for that is your HTML programming language. If you see the applications or the modules or the programs developed by the scripting programming language, they have a very unique feature. They have a advantage, they have a disadvantage that they can deliver static content. Okay, any application, any program, any module developed using the scripting programming languages has a unique feature that it can deliver the static content. Any application, any program, any module, if you see with reference to the scripting programming language, they have a unique capability that it can deliver the static content. Shiva, what do you mean by static content? We understood that any program or any application that have designed and developed using the scripting programming languages like an HTML has a unique capability to deliver the static content. Perfectly fine. But what do you mean by a static content? Static content is nothing but anything and everything that remains constant for a longer duration of the time or for an infinite amount of the time. I call it as a static content. What is meant by static content? Anything and everything that remains constant for a longer duration of the time or for an infinite amount of the time, I call it as a static content. For example, if you see here, okay, if you see here, let me go to some site, okay, let me go to the wellsfargo.com. I'm sure everyone must have heard about the Wells Fargo. If you see the Wells Fargo site, when you browse to the Wells Fargo site, the logo of the Wells Fargo, the headers to this Wells Fargo, the footer, if you see here, the images, the text, this remains constant for a longer duration of the time or for an infinite amount of the time. This is not something like our google.com where the images or the static content keeps on getting modified. Irrespective of the time frame, for an infinite amount of the time or for a longer duration of the time, this will remain constant. Okay, such kind of an output, such kind of a content which remains constant for a longer duration of the time or for an infinite amount of the time, I call it as a static content. Clear? Your scripting programming languages had a great capability, had a unique capability that it can deliver the static content. What do you mean by static? Anything and everything that remains constant for a longer duration of the time or for an infinite amount of the time. Okay, the examples for the static content are your images, okay, your CSS, your text data, etc. Clear? So if you are using your scripting programming languages to develop any application, any module, they can deliver the static content. This static content, you can take it as an advantage, disadvantage, or the feature of the product. Whatever the way you want to take it, you can take it. This was a trend before the Java was introduced into the programming market. When this trend was ruling, okay, if you see the scripting programming languages, these are also a programming languages. These are also some kind of a programming language. But if you see this programming languages, okay, since this is also a programming language, okay, we need a server, we need a container to process the code related to this static content. Am I clear? Since this is also a kind of a programming language, we need some server, we need some container to process the code. The server or the container that is used to process the code related to the scripting programming languages was called as file system handler. Clear? The server, the container that was used to process the code related to the scripting programming languages, I call it as a file system handler. This is your file system handler. Okay, what does this file system handler do? This file system handler processes the code related to the scripting programming language. So this scripting programming languages, when you process it, you get a static content. So end of the day, if you see your file system handler is a server or a container that processes the code related to the scripting programming languages and delivers a static content. Or in short and sweet, I can say that my file system handler is a server or a container that processes and delivers the static content. Clear? Am I clear? Anyone? Any question?
Yes. Yes, Shiva.
Okay. How about this? Anyone? Any questions? Sujit or Rajesh?
It is fine.
Okay. How about Nagendra and Rajesh? You people have any questions?
No, Shiva, nothing.
Excellent. Okay. So this is how the people were flowing in the market. This is how the development trend was going on. Suddenly, one fellow by name Sun Microsystems came into the market. He said that, okay, as part of my Java JW programming languages, I introduced a programming language called as servlets and JSP. Clear? See, if you're using the scripting programming languages, you can deliver only the static content. But this fellow by name Sun Microsystems, when he introduced the Java J2W or the Java J2SC technology, he told that as part of this introduction, I'll give you a programming language by name servlets and JSP. If you are using your servlets and JSP to do the development of your application, I'll give you a guarantee of delivering the static content as well as dynamic content. Okay? What is meant by static content? Anything and everything that remains constant for a longer duration of the time or for an infinite amount of the time. What do you mean by dynamic content, Shiva? Dynamic content is nothing but, okay, I open my Gmail, I see there are 300 emails in the account. So the moment I open and see my email, there are 300 emails. I try to read one email, automatically, I don't do any maintenance, automatically the 100 email count goes down from 3 to 2. I read in another email, the total number of 100 email count goes down from 2 to 1. I read in another email, automatically the total number of 100 email count goes down from 1 to 0. Okay, I'm not doing any kind of a maintenance. I just trying to read the emails automatically, dynamically. The 100 email count goes down from 3 to 2, 2 to 1, and 1 to finally the 0. Clear? This is nothing but your dynamic content. Similarly, let's say that I go to my ATM machine, I click on account balance, and I see that there are around 20,000 rupees in my account. I make a withdrawal of 10,000 rupees. I click on account balance. I don't do any maintenance. Dynamically, it shows me the updated balance as 20,000 minus 10,000, which is equal to 10,000. This is your dynamic content. Clear? Any application, any programs that are developed using the servlets and JSP had a unique capability that it can not only deliver the static, but it can even deliver the dynamic content. So what happened? Developers suddenly started moving away from scripting programming languages to servlets and JSP. Why? Servlets and JSP are much more advantageous to use when compared to the scripting programming language. The scripting programming language had only one feature of static content. My servlets and JSP had a feature of not only delivering the static but even the dynamic content. Clear?
Yes, sure.
Okay. So since they can not only deliver static, but then since they can also deliver the dynamic content, all the developers started moving away from scripting programming languages to servlets and JSP. There is a problem here. What is the problem, Shiva? To process the code related to the files scripting programming languages, I have a file system handler. But the file system handler, I can't use it for my servlets and JSP. Why? My file system handler can only deliver the static content. My servlets in JSP can not only deliver the static, but they can also be used to deliver the dynamic content. So there is a problem. What happened now? Now people started doing a lot of R&D, and as part of their continuous research, as part of their continuous R&D, finally they came out with a server, they came out with a container called as web server with a servlet container inside it. Clear? Web server with a servlet container inside it. The popular example for this one would be your Tomcat. Okay. So since we are in a desperate need of a server which can not only which will process the code related to the servlets and JSP, and which will not only deliver the static, but it will even deliver the dynamic content. So people, when they came up with this requirement, they did a continuous R&D for this current existing problem, and finally they came up with a web server with a servlet container that can process the code related to the servlets and JSP. Okay, the popular example for this web server is your Tomcat. But when you try to open and see what exactly is there here, you see that the web server have two components inside it. The first one, we call it as an file system handler. The second one, I call it as an servlet container. To take care of anything and everything related to the servlets and JSP. Clear? So when someone is trying to deploy a var file on the sub server, if you keep a var file on this, if the request is related to the static content, my file system handler will be invoked. In case the request is related to some static dynamic content, okay, then the request will be forwarded to the servlet container. Clear? Nagendra, Rajesh, Surjit, am I clear?
Yes, sir.
How about others? Rajesh and Nagendra?
Yeah, fine, sure. And small thing is that EJB is different from servers and JSP.
Yes, EJB is different from servlets and JSP. I'll come to that. But
Okay.
any questions still here?
And one more thing, Shiva, like I said before, I'm going to leave at 6:50 because I have some other commitment.
Oh,
So, are you going to stop the class at 6:50 or are you going to continue?
yeah, we'll stop the class. No problem. We'll stop the class. But before we
Okay.
break, I got a small question.
Okay.
Since you people don't have any questions, you people have any more questions? Rajesh, Nagendra, and Surjit?
No, sure. As of now, no.
Perfect. Good students. Okay. Then let me ask my question. First of all, why do I need a server? Why do I need to process a code? Why can't I directly why can't I directly execute a code? You
A
all got
Java,
my question? Huh?
yes, a
Forget
Java
about
code.
Java. It might be Java, it might be a scripting programming language, it might be anything. I really
It
love
needs
this
a
silence.
Like programming logic is a bunch of code. To process this code, we need a server.
Why?
I mean, to load the libraries.
Why?
Means like the code, like first some may require like using this application server, it will load like what is the first page, what is the second page, and what to be the business logic and everything.
Why? How about others? Sujit or Rajesh?
It provides a platform wherein it can run any machine. It can run on any machines.
I got only one machine.
Also for security, database
I don't need
connectivity.
security. You just remember when you were in your young age, I'm not sure what is the average of the people over here, but when you were in 17s and 18s, or at least in 16s to 18 age, teenage, what we call it as. Okay, you people remember the typical sites which people used to visit. For the hosting that site, we don't need a security. Correct or not?
Yep.
You guys remember the sites? Okay, kidding. Don't worry much. Okay, yeah. So no security concept. Still,
Like usually for what the sites you are saying, like for those kind of sites, PHP kind of thing is sufficient. For coming to this
it's not
applications.
only Java. Forget about Java. As of now, Java. Forget about Java. Forget about JBoss.
Okay.
Okay. I think I might be taking a little bit longer time. Let's do one thing. Let's break here for today. Can you all people get the answer for tomorrow?
Yeah, sure, definitely.
Excellent. So assuming that you'll get an answer tomorrow, let's break here for today. And whatever the inconvenience happen, once again, apologies from my side. I'll ensure that tomorrow onwards this confusion doesn't come. Okay.
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 Thanks everyone. Bye. Good night.